Besides me, another young man who was influenced by Emerson was Henry David Thoreau. Gilman and Brown write that Thoreau, 14 years Emerson's junior, read Emerson's Nature and was moved to become a disciple. Certainly the men had similar ideas. One of the key differences, though, is that while Emerson was mostly content to write, speak, and debate ideas, Thoreau doesn't appear content unless he was out in the world attempting to put his ideas into practice. His most famous experiment in clothing ideas in corporeal form is, of course, his 2-year experiment on Walden Pond. Located only a few miles out of Concord proper, Walden Pond is of significant size. I'd really call it a small lake, maybe along the lines of Thumb Lake by Vanderbilt. Nowadays it's a park, complete with rangers who read kids' children's books about Thoreau. It has a broad, sandy beach and is surrounded by trails through the mixed trees. The day I visited was an extremely hot one in early August. In each of the many places one might depart from the trail and take a dip in the lake was occupied by swimmers. Still, the profusion of people did nothing to dampen my excitement at being at the location where Thoreau decided to live deliberately. His goal, of course, was to show that our membership in society has caused us to confuse what we want with what we really need, and that an ordinary man could unplug from that society and do just fine. Thoreau wanted to model his life on the way things were in the natural world, ways he saw as pure and uncorrupted. And so, logically, he decided to live in that natural world and see what he could learn. Thoreau's cabin is long gone, but stone markers have been placed to show where it was. The setting is truly beautiful. The sun filters down through the leaves and dapples the ground, which is gently hilly and reminiscent of a blanket that has been spread across a bed, but has yet to be smoothed. Off to the side of the cabin is the site of Thoreau's woodshed. Over the years, visitors have gathered him wood. Finally, a pile of rocks stands some way off. Tradition dictates that if a visitor holds Thoreau in high regard and sympathizes with his ideals, he or she should throw a rock on the pile. I threw several rocks on for all of us. Of course, Thoreau was something of a fanatic. Emerson had the decorum of the moneyed class without, it appears, ill regard for the working class, and tempered his frequently inflammatory rhetoric with a warm interpersonal style. Thoreau, on the other hand, aggressively attacked both ideas he thought ill-reasoned and the people who dared voice them. He alienated nearly everyone he knew. Even his relation with Emerson soured over time. In 1856, Emerson wrote of Thoreau's combative style, "Must we always talk for victory, and never once for truth, for comfort and joy?" Thoreau never married, likely because to do so would necessitate what he would characterize as a compromise of his principles, since, after all, his wife might not have taken kindly to say his desire to run off and live in a one-room cabin for 2 years. Gilman and Brown characterized Thoreau as something of a perpetual teenager. If Thoreau's absolute and uncompromising idealism has a certain adolescent quality, they write, it is because adolescence is an age of mature intelligence and underdeveloped responsibilities, and so an age when morality is clear and absolute. Still, as I stood at his home site and walked around Walden Pond, I couldn't help but think that his heart was in the right place, that nutty as he was right about far more than he was wrong. He writes, "My good genius seemed to say, go fish and hunt far and wide day by day, farther and wider, and rest by many brooks and hearthsides without misgiving. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth. Rise free from care before the dawn and seek adventures. Let the noon find you by other lakes, and the night overtake you everywhere at home. Grow wild according to your nature."